How to avoid the NYC transfer tax. Transfer taxes can dramatically increase the cost of buying or selling property in New York City. Both the state and the city levy these fees, so understanding how they are calculated is essential to avoid unpleasant surprises at closing. Legal analysis. A transfer tax is assessed whenever real property ownership changes. New York State charges a basic rate of 0.4% of the consideration, with an extra 0.25% on high-value deals in New York City for residential properties over $3 million and other properties over $2 million. The city imposes its own real property transfer tax. 1 to 3 family homes and individual condo or co-op units are taxed at 1% up to $500,000 and 1.425% above that, while most other properties are taxed at 1.425% up to $500,000 and 2.625% on the balance. These taxes are normally due at the settlement or closing. WHO pays. The law generally makes the seller liable for transfer taxes unless a contract states otherwise. When a buyer agrees to cover the seller's state transfer tax, that payment is excluded from the taxable consideration under Tax Law Section 1404(a). Any other seller expenses paid by the buyer, including the city tax, are treated as additional consideration. If either party fails to pay, both become jointly responsible and the paying party can seek reimbursement. Buyers typically pay any mansion or supplemental taxes. If a buyer does not pay, the seller becomes liable. The exemptions to transfer tax in New York are narrow, so completely avoiding the tax is rare. However, you can reduce your liability through strategic planning. Taxes are based on the purchase price stated in the contract, not on profit, so selling during a peak market will increase the tax owed. Waiting for market conditions to cool or timing your contract around anticipated legislative changes can lower your rate. Meeting with an attorney early allows you to model different scenarios and select advantageous dates. Another method is a purchase CEMA, an agreement in which the buyer assumes the seller's existing mortgage balance and borrows only the additional funds needed. New York State lets buyers deduct any lien that remains on 1, 2 or 3 family houses or individual condominiums after closing when calculating transfer tax. New York City similarly allows a lien that existed before the transfer and remains afterwards to be excluded. Because the tax is then calculated on the equity, the purchase price minus the qualifying lien, keeping part of the seller's loan in place can lower the tax for both parties. In resale transactions, mortgage recording tax is assessed only on the new money the buyer borrows, so a purchase CEMA limits this cost as well. Developers sometimes encourage CEMAs in new construction to reduce closing costs. Definition and process. Transfer tax is a mandatory fee paid when real estate changes hands and is ordinarily due at the settlement. New York's mansion tax applies when residential property sells for $1 million or more. It is 1% of the purchase price, which equals $10,000 at the threshold. At $2 million and above, a separate supplemental tax begins at 0.25% and rises to 2.9% on purchases of $25 million or more. Buyers generally pay these amounts. A purchase CEMA requires careful structuring. To qualify an existing mortgage for exclusion under the city's rules, the lien must have been in place before the transfer and remain after closing. Consulting a lawyer experienced in these agreements helps ensure compliance and maximizes the potential tax savings. Transfer taxes cannot be eliminated, but informed decisions can lower them. Understanding the rules and considering a purchase CEMA helps protect your finances. A knowledgeable real estate lawyer will review your contract, explain the applicable taxes, and suggest strategies. Sishodia PLLC is a New York City law firm that helps clients navigate state and city transfer taxes and evaluate CEMAs. Our attorneys serve clients at 600 3rd Avenue 2nd floor, New York, 10016, United States. To speak with a lawyer about your transaction, call 833-616-4646. If you are looking for a law firm with practical experience in New York real estate, Sishodia PLLC can provide the guidance you need.